Hi everyone, how you doing today? I know all is well with you. I have decided that I'm going to do a weekly blog. I was doing every day for a while, but that just became a little bit too much. Didn't have the time to do it. And so I've decided to do a weekly blog. And in doing that, I reached out to a couple of friends and asked them, what topics might I talk about in my blog? And one of them said the question, do we have choices? Another one said, integrity building, building the integrity within yourself. And then the last thing one of them said was that, how do you want people to perceive you? And so when I just wrote all of those down and started looking at them, a few things came to mind for me that I thought I would share with you on video, as well as my blog soon to come in writing. Here's the best part. The answer to the question of do we have choices? Absolutely. That's the greatest thing. We have choices. And the best kind of choices that we have is, what are the choices we make to what we focus on? Which leads me into how you want people to perceive you. There's a curious thing that happens with human beings. Whatever it is that we're focused on is exactly what we're going to see around us. So if we're focused on something that's negative, all we're going to see is negative. If we're focused on something that's positive, all we're going to see is positive things. It's as if we put a lens over our eyes and we're unable to see anything else. And then from there, the next thing that really happens is how we actually show up, because when we're focused on something so negative, there's absolutely no way for us to show up in any other manner than from a negative perspective. And then, of course, people are going to interact with us based on that as well. And so the first thing that we have to decide and what we have to choose is, what thoughts are we focused on? What are our own thoughts that we're focused on? What are, in the larger picture, something called structure of knowing, which is, all of your thoughts and beliefs and opinions about how things should be, or how you describe things. Simple thing would be like, what do you think Thanksgiving's going to look like? It's got to have turkeys, and it's got to be at my house, and all the things that go into, what we really think the way things should be. Do you have one Christmas tree? Do you have two Christmas trees? Do you have a Christmas tree at all? Do you even believe in Christmas? All of those things are our own thoughts and our own structures of knowing. So the choices that we have are endless. And the best part is that when we decide to choose things, thoughts that we have, structures of knowing that we have, that are in keeping with the things that really warm our hearts, that are important to me, then our whole experience of life is changed. Because what we see ourselves changes, because the lens changes, and now we're able to see things that we could never see before. And how we show up based on that to others changes as well. And so it's like the first thing that we have to do is determine what is important to us. What warms your heart? What is it that you're here to give the world? What part of you do you want to give the world? As simple as, to be a loving family member and what that means to you. To be an adventurer and what does that mean to you? To be physically fit and healthy, to be a healer, to be a light worker, to whatever it is that just in the moment of you seeing it, it just has you have a warm sensation in your heart. There's a physical, expression that goes on. It just, it rocks your world. And coaching is all about helping people discover what those things really are and to define them to a level that, once defined and once they're focused on that, and then focused on creating goals all about that. Like, you can have a desire to be a loving family member, and unless you set up goals around it that demonstrate it in physical reality, nobody gets to see that. So coaching is all about helping people to define, to discern what really has meaning for them, that rocks their world, just lights them up. Let me tell you a story. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be an oceanographer because I thought what Jacques Cousteau did was just the bomb, for no other word. And I loved the ocean. I loved all the creatures within it. I have never lost sight of that passion for the ocean. And although I never became a marine biologist or oceanographer, I still show respect for the ocean that I love. I love to snorkel. I love to swim in it. I just recently joined a paddling club here in Hilo. I moved to Hilo because I love the ocean so much, and I was living in the mountains of California, which I also love too, as long as I'm close to water. But you see, even as I talk about to be an oceanographer, to be a marine biologist, to be a contributor to the wellness of the ocean, I just light up. I mean, I just can't even tell you the experience I'm having right now. It's just, wow, it's awesome. And anything to do with the ocean always affects my heart. It just, every time I see something, here in Hilo, we can watch the whales from our living room. We can go to the shore and watch them as well. We can swim and snorkel and be near the most magnificent turtles, hono, as they call them here. And it just, I get energized by it. I could be out snorkeling and doing something so physical for a long period of time, and when I get out, I still have the energy because, you see, it has meaning to me. So coaching is all about that. It's all about helping others find out what rocks their world, what warms their heart, and then helping them to determine what kind of goals they want to establish to demonstrate that. Because I'm telling you, when you know to your core, beyond a shadow of a doubt, what warms your heart, when you see it, when you announce it, there is nothing that can come your way that's going to knock you off. There's nothing that you can't face. There's nothing that you can't do. The limits are limitless. And I know right now you're probably saying, oh yeah, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to even get to there. Well, there's ways to figure it out. There's ways to back into it, and that's what coaching is all about, is giving you some tools to see how to do that. And then once you're done with coaching, you get to use those tools and the skills that you built during coaching for the rest of your life. So it's a win-win. And the best part is too, is that you don't even need to know how right now. You don't even need to know why right now. You don't even need to know, where do I start? You don't even have to have the answers to the questions. The one thing you have to say is, nevertheless, I'm willing. I'm willing, which is by far your strongest strength. It's the best thing that a human being has, is to say, I'm willing. Nevertheless, I'm willing. So looking back at my notes on, the things that my friends proposed to me to talk about in my blog, and now on this video, the last thing was mentioned by one of my friends was integrity building. Building your own integrity, which in turn builds confidence. And from that, I want to talk to you about the fact of mapping, for your own sake, what are your standards of integrity? What are you all about? And I mean, really, really, what are you all about? Not who you, pretend to be, to the rest of the world. Not who you're afraid you are, the little internal conversations that may take place to tell you that you're not this and you're not that and blah, 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 blah. But who you really are. And here's the great thing. Coaching helps you to see that clearly, so that in a moment you can bring it up. And the beautiful way to do it is look around the people right now that you admire. Who is it that you admire? Whether they're dead or alive. And list out those people's names. And then take the first person and list out downward all the traits, like single words, traits of that person, and why you admire them and why they inspire you and what is it about them that you just want to be in their presence. Now, keeping in mind that these people don't have to be people that you know. They're just could be people that you admire. They don't have to be alive. But if they were alive, you'd want to be near them. You'd want to meet them. Who is it in history that you would have loved to meet? It can even be a cartoon character. So don't limit yourself to just people you know when you're doing this practice. So you take that first person, you write all those things down, and then you look at the next person on the list. And you begin to look at them and determine what it is about them that has you admiring them and wanting to be in their presence, and that you just think they're amazing. And if you see that one of the words that comes up is a word that you've already written down, just put a check mark next to it. And you go through this process, so on and so forth. And you start to see that certain traits have multiple check marks next to them. And here's the thing that is so awesome. Human beings cannot see something in another human being that they don't have a receptor for themselves. So you see, here's an example. My father is a person on my list. And the first word that comes to mind that describes my father is loyal. And you see, I cannot know loyal unless I have a receptor for loyal. It's like I can't see the color blue unless I have a receptor to understand what the color blue is. So check it out. Go through the process. And then at the end of the process of seeing all these traits within other people, notice the words that have multiple check marks by them. Notice when you say the word out loud. Does it warm your heart as you say it? See, loyal, the moment I say it, changes everything physically for me. It's so important to me. You know, so you'll know that when you go through the process. And then you take that list with all the check marks and you put those words with the multiple check marks onto another piece of paper. And then as you're doing that, as you're moving them over, notice if another word comes up, another descriptor, another trait that, you know, speaks to you that you haven't listed before. Go ahead and put that down on this new piece of paper. And then at the top of that paper, write down the following. Write down, and this is going to be a little difficult for you, I know, because the brain wants to tell you, don't look at this, don't believe this, because you see, we believe the worst first. Just how we're wired, just how humans are wired. It's easier to believe the worst first. We're like magnets. There's a book out called Hardwiring Happiness, and the author talks about our brain being Velcro for the negative. And in my blog, I'll write down his name, but the title of the book is Hardwiring Happiness. And if you give me a minute, I'll get his name as well. I have the book. So anyway, to go back to that final page, we're just preparing you that this is going to be a little difficult to write these things down. But at the top of the page of this list of words, and again, you're going to want to put it, you know, down like this, so that they're just, don't number them, just because they're not, the numbering doesn't matter. It's just put them in a list. Top of that piece of paper, write, these are my standards of integrity. These are my standards of integrity. And then you see the list. And at the bottom of that, you write, I know these are mine because I see them in others. I know these are mine because I see them in others. And so once you've done that, you just take that little tool. It's called Standards of Integrity, and it is a tool. And live with it for a week. Live with it for 30 days. Read it every day. Have it with you, somewhere where you can see it. Take it with you to work. Notice your experiences, you know, during the week, during that 30 days. Notice if how you interact with people is different. Notice anything and kind of jot it down. See, that's integrity building. You first have to know who you really are. And who you really are all those things that you just wrote down on that list. That's who you are in your heart of hearts. That's who you are no matter your behavior. That's who you are into every situation. And when you are not being who you are is when frustration occurs. You know, like you did something that's not in keeping with being loyal, if loyal happens to be one of the things on your list. It's you who suffers. So this is what coaching is all about. Coaching is all about giving clients an environment in which to see who they truly are, and then to design a life that demonstrates that, to really show up to the rest of the world from their heart, from their true being. Because believe me, when you're demonstrating who you really are, you're giving the world the best thing you could ever do. And that's why you're here. And I know, because I've had times in my life where I was not being who I really was. I was behaving in a manner of pretense because I was so afraid of who I really was, because some little limited conversation told I wasn't enough. And then I got to discover who I really am, no matter what. And I utilize that tool all the time into every situation I'm in. I can pull those words up in a moment, and those traits, and say, what would a loyal person do into this situation? What would a talented person do into this situation? How would a humorous person handle this situation? You know, that's how you utilize the tool. The skill building part of it is that you need to live with it for a week to 30 days. So we've covered a lot today, and I want to be able to cover more with you, because believe me, I have a toolbox that is overflowing with so many things that will bring you a life that has clarity, so you'll clearly see what warms your heart, clearly see who you are, be able to define goals that demonstrate all of the things that are important to you, that will give you the ability to focus on what's important and shift away from what is not, that will provide you the ability to infuse ease into your life, where when the moments where you doubt and you have worry, that you will be able to walk through those moments with a sense of ease. And then tools that will give you such grace, because you will see how to say yes into everything. You know, to say yes into everything and to be grateful for it. Let me double check real quick, because I promised you I would give you that author's name, and so I do not want to leave you without doing that. Again, the book I spoke of about, our brain is a Velcro for the bad, or Velcro for the negative, and yet so great that we can change that and shift that. All about what coaching is, but a really good read. The author's name is Rick Hanson, and again, the book is Hardwiring Happiness. Thank you all for your time. I hope to be talking with you soon. Aloha.